Well, I am excited for this one, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Man, you know me, I love a good thunder egg. Thunder eggs, for those of you who may not be aware, they look like that on the outside and they can look like that on the inside. I love cutting them, polishing them, making them look pretty, displaying them, learning about them. Lithophysci, they're great things to be into. The downside to them has been cutting. The cutting is, it's a pain to say the least, which has led me down a long road over the past year of trying different fixtures, building fixtures, buying fixtures, repurposing fixtures, you name it. I've kind of tried it. The only one that I haven't tried is the CRS one because it's too big for my 14-inch saw. So some of the problems with the ones that we see on the market today: you take a rock like this, and it holds it on both sides of and the blade comes through, like down the middle of the fixture. Well, what'll happen is, imagine you're cutting, and we have our imaginary kerf here, right? As we get closer to the cut, that clamp pinches, and it'll snap this little end piece down here by my thumb, and it can put deep gouges in the face of the rock, because now it's being pressed up against the body of the saw blade, and there's just a lot of problems. And most saws, mine included, don't clamp well on something that's round and weird. Like if you want to cut this directly down the center, it's not, there's no way to clamp it in like my vise or one of the vices that are perpendicular, okay? Especially with mine, my vise only gets within a ½ inch of the blade. So it's hard. I have thunder eggs that I simply have not been able to cut. Well, this past summer, a guy named Nick posted some photos up on Facebook of a fixture that he came up with to make holding these types of things significantly easier. And I was interested. I'm like, oh, I saved the photo. I was like, I'm going to build one for myself. And of course that didn't happen. Too many projects. Well, people liked his design so much, he started making them and selling them. And he called it the Slab'asaurus. Well, Nick reached out to me and was like, hey, could I send you one to try out? So I didn't have to pay for it, and I get to try it, which I'm very happy about. So we are going to head over to the bench. It requires a little bit of assembly, a little bit of modification for my saw, since my saw is a 14. It's a little tall, so we got to trim a little bit, but we'll talk more about that as we put it together. So this is what comes in the kit. It is beautifully machined on a CNC machine out of aluminum. And wait till you see this thing fully put together. Now, currently he's selling this whole setup for 125 bucks. And it looks amazing. Look at all those tapped holes. I would not want to do that, especially a blind hole. Good luck tapping a blind hole in aluminum. Well, comes with these guide rods, and it'll make a lot more sense once we assemble it. Comes with a couple of guide rods, a threaded rod, some Loctite, and all of the hardware that we need. So my saw being a 14-inch, that means that I can realistically cut about a 5.5-inch saw. So the inside dimensions of the hood of my saw are, I have about 6.5 inches up from the center of the blade, because, well, why do you need more? So we do have to do a little bit of trimming. That is not a problem for me. I guess if you're ordering this, you can always request some shorter rods. So we're going to cut these down real quick, and then we're going to put this thing together. Sure is nice having a bandsaw available. Obviously, you could just trim these by hand, or even better, tell them the size that you want. So I think this is a pretty smart design, and it is very beautifully machined. A while ago, I said, well, a while ago I commented on how the whole lapidary industry lacks innovation. You know, these companies, they're just not making new, cool, problem-solving stuff. It's just their own flavor of the same old products. And okay, I gotta show you real quick because I love stuff like this. All right, so machined parts. If you've never held a machined part, it's awesome. Like, okay, so there's your slides, right? It slides. But the fit on this is so perfect. With my finger under it, it's trapping the air. Or listen, hold on. That's fun. Okay, enough playing around. So here's the bottom side, and we have tapped holes here, and we're gonna put our guided rods in there, and that lines up, and that gets a set screw in there. So these are very tight fits on the bottom. So we might have to warm this up with like a hairdryer or heat gun or water. This gets mounted to our tailstock like that. This should be pretty simple to go together here. It is nice that he included some Loctite. You know, the Loctite is awesome. I have a big bottle. I buy big bottles of the stuff. We'll use the stuff that he included though. So this will just make the components that are kind of meant to stay in place, well, stay in place. So these little guys are the ones that hold the bottom of this fixture. Oops, too much. The bottom of the fixture to the tailstock. Doesn't take much, just a little dab will do it. All right, once that Loctite cures on that, those things ain't coming out. So I have hot hands, so I'm just gonna hold this for a sec and warm it up enough to get these bottom rods in. And we take our flat piece here, line it up just like that. Set screw here. And that will go in that little side piece. And that'll make it so that never ever wants to come out. Lastly, we put in our threaded rod. Take your two nuts, you double nut this. There we go, and now I can drive that in like a bolt. And I saw the little Loctite bubble at the bottom there. Don't need to go too crazy, and then back that one nut off. Now we would take our top plate. Oh, look at that. That's going to be awesome. Okay. Then we put a washer, put a nut, and this is the ingenious part of this. So here's the thing. We use these bolts into these threaded holes, and we can make whatever combination we would potentially want to be able to hold whatever weird oddball shaped rock that I have and clamp it in place and send it through the saw. So that's the idea here. One thing I do like is he milled out these slots in this tail piece that gets clamped in the saw so that you don't miss these holes. I like this. Very well thought out. Very well thought out. So, Loctite 242, or you know, my preferred brand. This stuff takes 24 hours to fully cure. So we're not gonna just put this thing in the saw and call it good. I'm gonna try to rip a rock out of it. I'm gonna try to see how good this thing can actually hold a rock and give it its all. And one of the ways I plan on testing how much pulling force I can put on this thing is with this guy right here, my crane scale. So we can test how much force this thing can hold. All right, so I will see you back here in 24 hours. It is a new day, and I have my rock chucked up in this vise fixture, and I feel like it's pretty solid. You can see I should be able to get a straight down the line cut on this thunder egg and not hit those bolts. Now, the problem is always, well, the fear is always what would happen if this came loose in the saw. You know, the rock's going to get all messed up. Does it throw the rock? Maybe. Does this thing come loose in the saw? Maybe. Worst case scenario, all of that, and a bent blade. Like this twists, you know, this comes out. I feel like this is very, very solid in here. So let's power up the old scale here. And I may not be able to get as good of a view as you guys, but let's see. Let's try to yank this thing out. See how much force I can put on this. Can you see that there? Yeah, there we go. All right, let's go right there. I wish this had a top out where it would lock. I feel like that put a lot of force into it, more than you would get from a saw blade hitting it, which that makes me feel confident. Let's put it in the saw. So you can see my vertically clamping vise. One of the problems that you always have is making your fixture run perfectly square with your blade, because you have the vise squared to this. Getting this squared to it is a whole other thing. So since I know my vise is good, I actually clamped it so that we are on the rail there, and then kind of on the actual lip, which seems to work really, really good. And if we line up here, we do have room to miss our bolts. I think we're good there. And all we gotta do is try it. Well, I think that went pretty well. There was no horrible sounds coming from the saw, which, you know, when you're cutting rocks, not having any horrible sounds is what you want. Oh, look at that egg. That is gorgeous, gorgeous. All right, so I'm gonna get this thing out and we'll get it all nice and cleaned up. Everything looked like it went really well. Even though this video is not about the thunder egg that I cut, let's look at this. I did clean it up some, and it's not, I mean, it's got some problems. We have like some major fracturing happening up here in this corner. We have some deep fractures going into it. So I just kind of took it up to 600 grit on the high speed. And we have some problems with the rhyolite fracturing out. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it, although it's a neat example, especially with those little red bits in there. But yeah, it's a little on the crumbly side. So that's a little bit of a bummer. But this thing here worked flawlessly. I did forget to double nut it. It does have two nuts, and when you drive one nut against another nut on a threaded rod, it creates like a lock nut so that it won't ever vibrate out. I probably should have done that. Thankfully, nothing came loose. One other thing, you know, if you take a rock that you've already kind of like cut once and you want to, let's say, slab this up, probably wouldn't want to slab up this exact rock, but in theory, right, you can bring it up to here and use these, you know, kind of all the way in here and hold up to that very last slab. So for, expensive material, not the type of material I find, but the expensive stuff, you can do that, and that will work out pretty dang well. What to say about this thing? I mean, I like it. It works. It solves a number of problems that I have with trying to get that last couple of slabs off of a rock and in the holding of weird shaped rocks. So for me, it's a problem solver. And I like it. I like that it's a nice machined part, very durable. I like that it's made here in America. And I like that it's not coming from a big manufacturer. I think the future of Lapidary is not coming to you via a shipping container from China. All of these big companies, these like top 6 companies, let's say, that make lapidary products for us, they don't do any real innovating whatsoever. When was the last time you saw a brand new machine hit the market? Maybe you see slight variations of stuff. I mean, if I make a rock tumbler identical to what Loretone made, that's not innovation. That's just me copying something, Where is the new cool products? And then where are these companies that make 2.0 versions of their products? Doesn't exist, They're just like, take what you get. And that leaves a lot of us looking at old equipment for stuff. And that just, it's not good, not good. I think the future of Lapidary is not in a big factory. The future of Lapidary is people just making the stuff. Cottage industry, a guy making a thing. A guy sees a need, has a shop, has the tools, the knowledge to do it, makes it, sells it, right? That's good. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see any more junky products being made and sold for extraordinary profit margins. Guess what, everybody? Spoiler, I know people now, thanks to this YouTube channel. I have an understanding of what some of the exact profit margins are on some of the machines that people buy and these companies are selling. If you knew the profit margin on some of the machines that are commonly purchased by us, the lapidary community, you would throw up in your mouth a little bit. You would. Just trust me on this, right? The products that they're making, they make plenty of money on. They make plenty of money on, enough to be able to do some innovation, some fixing of the known problems, but they don't. Therefore, hey, if you're a machinist and you have a cool idea, please make it. Please make it. There we go. Rant over. I will drop links down below to the Slab'asaurus. Go check it out. Support people that make cool products. And with that said, we will leave this one here. Check out my website, currently rockhounding.com, and I will catch you in the next video.